Hey everybody, I'm Zach.
And I'm Jesse.
And you're watching In Depth.
On Now You Know.
So everyone's been talking about this, Jesse. This is depends on what side of the story you're on. You're either on the saboteur side. You're on the sabotage side.
Oh,
Some people are claiming it's whistleblowing. Let's get into it. Let's find out what happened here. All right. So first of all, Martin Tripp is the employee that we're talking about. He was a gigafactory process engineer, and he was hired in October of 2017. So he's been accused of doing a bunch of things. What are some of the things he's been accused of?
He's been accused of unlawfully hacking into the company's confidential trade secret information and transferring that information to third parties.
He's also admitted to writing software that hacked Tesla's manufacturing operating system, or MOS, and transferring several gigabytes of Tesla data to outside entities. This includes dozens of confidential photographs and a video of Tesla's manufacturing systems. He also wrote computer code to periodically export Tesla's data off of its network and into the hands of third parties. His hacking software was operating on 3 separate computer systems of other individuals at Tesla so that the data would be exported even after he left the company, and so that those individuals would be falsely implicated as guilty parties. But we're not done yet.
Okay, yeah.
So according to Tesla, Tripp also made false claims to the media about the information he stole. For example, Tripp claimed that punctured battery cells had been used in certain Model 3 vehicles, even though no punctured cells were ever used in vehicles, according to Tesla. They claimed that they were never used in vehicles, batteries, or otherwise. Tripp also vastly exaggerated the true amount and value of scrap material that Tesla generated during the manufacturing process, and falsely claimed that Tesla was delayed in bringing new manufacturing equipment online. This is all according to Tesla. And so let's go back a little bit. And why would Tripp have done these things?
So within a few months of Tripp being hired at Tesla, his managers identified him as having problems with job performance and at times being disruptive and combative with his colleagues. Because of this and many other issues apparently, around May 17th, 2018, Tripp was assigned a new role. Tripp did not like this, and he expressed a lot of anger that he was reassigned.
Okay, so all of this might have stemmed from the fact that he felt he was passed over for a promotion. Okay. So then Tesla got wind of this, and they began to suspect something. On June 14th and 15th, they interviewed Tripp, and he admitted during those interviews that he attempted to recruit additional sources inside the Gigafactory to share confidential Tesla data outside the company. We have a leaked email. This is back and forth between Tripp and Elon Musk, where Tripp is basically, well, let's get into it. So he says, "Don't worry, you have what's coming to you for the lies you have told to the public and investors." That's Tripp talking to Elon. Elon responds back, "Threatening me only makes it worse for you." Then Tripp says, "I never made a threat. I simply told you that you have what's coming. Thank you for this gift." Elon says, "You should be ashamed of yourself for framing other people. You're a horrible human being." Tripp then replies, "I never framed anyone else or even insinuated anyone else as being involved in my production of documents of your millions of dollars of waste, safety concerns, lying to investors, the world. Putting cars on the road with safety issues is being a horrible human being. There are literally no injuries with Model 3. It is by far the safest car in the world for any midsize vehicle, and of course a company with billions of dollars in product is going to have millions of dollars in scrap. This is not news. However, betraying your word of honor, breaking the deal you had when Tesla gave you a job, and framing your colleagues are wrong and come with legal penalties. So it goes, be well."
So this was an email thread that was leaked by Tripp.
Right. To back up his case, he went to Washington Post, The Guardian, and he leaked this email thread thinking that it would show Elon in a bad light. Personally, I don't see how this is showing Elon in a bad light.
No.
And his big claim seems to be that Tesla generated a lot of scrap, more scrap than it should. All right, so now it gets even crazier than a leaked email and all this stuff. This was a statement released by Tesla on June 20th. "Yesterday afternoon, we received a phone call from a friend of Mr. Tripp telling us that Mr. Tripp would be coming to the Gigafactory to, quote, shoot the place up. Police have been notified and actions are being taken to enhance security at the Gigafactory. The local sheriff's department responded to the potential threat. Luckily, nothing ever came of that threat, but that is kind of cuckoo."
I think it would take a lot to have one of your friends call the police about you.
Unless they thought you were serious.
Right.
That brings it to a whole other level. We're talking Saboteur. We're talking stealing stuff and giving it to other third parties, and now we're talking some kind of act of violence.
Right.
So Tesla is suing Martin Tripp in Nevada. Tripp has been reporting that he is a whistleblower. So he's gone to the press and he said things like, when it's world impactful, when you're lying to the world and investors about the cars you're producing and how sustainable you are, when you're saying one thing and doing another, the righteous thing is for the world to know. And this is in a phone interview with Tripp with the Washington Post. What is a whistleblower? I mean, he's claiming he is one.
Usually if a company or organization is doing something wrong, a whistleblower is someone who comes out, says what, they have been doing wrong, and then they get special protections because they did that.
Now, so far, the things that Tripp has been accused of, stealing information, hacking code, those are not whistleblower activities. What Tripp is claiming is that Tesla was creating too much scrap.
Right, which is not illegal. It has to be an illegal thing. You can't just come out and be like,
I don't like the
we're
color
not doing that good, or there's problems. Like, nothing about any of that would be illegal.
There's no protection of being a whistleblower if the company isn't doing something illegal.
Right. If Tesla was, say, taking all of their batteries and throwing them in a river or disposing of them improperly, that would be something that would be whistleblowing worthy.
Now, if that wasn't cuckoo enough, we now get to Elon sent 2 emails to employees. And we won't read the entire part, but there's this interesting part in the first one. So basically, he's letting employees know that this has happened and to be on alert. For other sabotage stuff. And he says, as you know, there are a long list of organizations that want Tesla to die. These include Wall Street short sellers who have already lost billions of dollars and stand to lose a lot more. Then there are the oil and gas companies, the wealthiest industry in the world. They don't love the idea of Tesla advancing the progress of solar power and electric cars. Don't want to blow your mind, but rumor has it those companies are sometimes not super nice. Then there are the multitude of big gas diesel car company competitors. If they're willing to cheat so much about emissions, maybe they're willing to cheat in other ways? So he's implying that Tripp might be a part of working for some other entity, some other either company or...
Right. And that would make sense. The collecting of data and basically probably selling it to third parties, industrial espionage is not that new.
And it's worth a lot to other companies. If you can get a guy on the inside who's telling you how Tesla is doing what they're doing, that's worth a lot of money. So I have no problem imagining that either, that some company went to Tripp and said, oh, you're disgruntled? Well, why don't you help us get back at Tesla?
Right. Tripp, of course, has denied this.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that it's not true.
Right. And then there's another email from Elon kind of updating his employees as to what's going on. And this, again, it gets even stranger. He said, late last night, we had another strange incident that was hard to explain. Small fire on the body in white production line. No one was in area, and there were no injuries or significant equipment damage, but it was enough to stop the body production line for several hours. Could just be a random event, but as Andy Grove said, only the paranoid survive. So Elon saying maybe this had something to do with either some other employee that Tripp might have talked to or Tripp himself. We don't know. Maybe it's just a random accidental fire.
It seems like it could have just been a random accidental fire, but I mean, regardless, this is all weird stuff.
And I just want to say, for Martin to use the whistleblower defense, that's fine. Then point to what you're whistleblowing about. But if all he's got to say is that Tesla is generating too much scrap.
Right. This has been debunked, by the way, because this story came out from leaked information from Tesla in a CNBC story where they were saying, oh, there's so much scrap that Tesla is generating. This story just itself was debunked by people in the auto industry who were like, yeah, that sounds about like the right amount of scrap for what you're doing.
Right. You're making thousands of cars a week.
Right. As Elon put it in the email, for $1 billion company, millions of dollars in scrap is pretty normal.
Right. And you recycle that scrap most likely. It's not thrown in the trash usually. And so that's just par for the course when you're making something.
Right. So, I mean, I think, and here's the part that's just wild, is that Tripp admitted to doing basically everything.
Right.
So it's
and he
not,
leaked his own emails with Elon.
Right. So we're not at the point where it's like, did he do this? It's yes, he did do this. I guess it's now why?
Yeah, I mean, because don't forget, over 2 days, first Tesla interrogated him on the 14th, and he denied some of the stuff, and then they showed him the evidence, and then he admitted it. They have all the evidence. He hacked into their computer system, and they've traced it all back to him.
Right. Now, there are lots of news outlets that cover this from Tripp's side. They just take Tripp's side, they take his word, and if you, I read through some of them, pretty laughable stuff. They're just taking his quotes. Not that there is any official story, but they don't even like balance it. We're trying to balance it here, but he's really, it seems, guilty of this.
He seems unhinged.
Yeah.
I mean, more information's hopefully going to come out, but it just shows you how hard it's been for Tesla, because they have thousands of employees, and one employee like this can set them back.
Right.
Anyway, we hope you enjoyed this story. It is in-depth on what's going on with the Tesla Saboteur. I would love your comments below to tell us, whose side do you think, is right here? Are you siding with Tripp? Are you siding with Tesla? Let us know your thoughts below. We would love to see them. And don't forget that if you like these t-shirts that we're wearing, Jesse, you can go to the link down below, SFSF, where they make a lot of cool t-shirts, and it helps us out on the show because a little portion of what your purchase price will go to help us here. They've got lots of cool designs, so go check them out. And thank you so much for watching.
Now you know.